right, so I'm in a broom closet in Delaware, and I'm feeling pretty good. And this is because I'm warming up for my show that is in the cafe, and I'm an indie singer-songwriter. So, you know, I don't have a tour bus. I don't have someone making sure there are the right snacks backstage. I don't have roadies. I often don't even have a backstage, and sometimes I'm just waiting online for the bathroom with everyone else 5 minutes before my show. So the fact that there's even a broom closet is a good day for me. But I'm also excited because this is a series they've started at this cafe, and the promoter who started it is a big fan of mine, and she saw me like 3 years ago, and so it always feels good to be wanted, you know, and I've been brought in for this show. And so I finish warming up and I go out into the room, and it's a nice friendly crowd like this, and I get on the stage, and the promoter, she's a little nervous, but she's very enthusiastic, and she says, "I'm just so excited for you guys to hear Sam Shaber tonight." And I'm like beaming, you know, the professional in the background. And she says, "I first heard Sam like 3 years ago, and I just want to say she is much better now." And she motions for me to start the show. And this is a bit of an example of the roller coaster that is the life of the independent musician. You know, I got into this like so many of us that are artists get into what we do. I have my idols, like, you know, my Joni Mitchell, and when I was very young, Duran Duran, you know, these very exciting bands, and then you don't always wind up doing it quite the way that you thought that you would. But every now and then there are these magnificent evenings, and so I had one such night in Lawrence, Kansas, one of my very favorite towns, by the way, highly recommend. I was opening for Richie Havens in Lawrence, Kansas, and so for those who don't know, Richie Havens sadly, he passed away not too long ago, but he was like a folk icon, a music icon. He opened Woodstock, so he was the first act at Woodstock, like the iconic American musical event. And I was going to be opening for him. It was a huge gig. It's a beautiful theater in Lawrence called Liberty Hall, one of these old American music halls that's fully restored. And I'm up on stage doing my sound check, and it's just resonating off the walls, and everything is professional, and the show's going to be sold out that night. And it's just a very, very big, affirming moment for me. And Richie and his band had already sound checked. So I go to the real, there's a dressing room. I don't have a broom closet that night. And I'm going down into the dressing room after I sound check to get ready. And again, like, you know, I don't have roadies. So I take my guitar, I'm just trying to quickly get out of the way. So I have my guitar kind of slung around on my back like a cowboy. And I have in my left hand my guitar cables, my set list, my bottle of water, my tuner. In my right hand, I've just taken my empty guitar case, and I'm kind of just holding it closed like that. And I make my way down this spiral staircase to the dressing room. It's about 7:30, and the show starts at 8. And all of a sudden, I hear thwack, and it's my guitar hitting the wall of the staircase. I get down into the dressing room, and I look down, and there is a foot-long crack growing larger in the seam of my guitar. And a guitar that has a hole, other than the sound hole, cannot be played. That's not gonna work. So I've got a half hour before this gig, but also on top of that, being an indie musician, there's no Rihanna situation happening here. Like, no one comes running to me with an extra instrument. This is the instrument that I own. I have a 6-hour drive the next day to St. Louis for a gig. I drive to Chicago the day after that for a gig. Then I drive 2 days home to New York. I have a day off, then I leave again. And so there's no time to sort out huge problems like this. And I have no idea what I'm gonna do. And this is this roller coaster life. So it's like all the way down all of a sudden. And I'm sitting there, and next to me I hear this woman say, "Sam?" And I turn to my right, and I realize I know her. It's this woman, Stephanie. She's a cellist. And it turns out she's touring with Richie Havens right now. And she says, "I see you have a large crack in your Martin." I said, "Yes, I do." She said, "Well, I used to work in a guitar shop, and I can fix it for you temporarily for tonight. If we can find some gaff tape, I know how to tape it together. Can't be duct or electrical because it leaves marks, because Stephanie really knows her stuff. So we procure some gaff tape, this black gaff tape, and she stretches it this way and she stretches it that way and puts it over here, and kind of like you set up a window for a hurricane that's coming, you know, or like by the time she's done, it's very Eddie Van Halen or like very punk rock to me, you know. So I kind of like it for one night, and all of a sudden I'm sort of starting to come back up again, and I go out and I play my set, and the crowd is just perfect. It's a perfect evening. They are with me all the way through the set. My voice hits every note, every joke lands, every story, every song. The guitar sounds great. People are cheering. It's a complete high. And then I finish, and then Richie's playing his set. So I go around to the back of the theater to watch him. And he was, if any of you know Richie Havens, he had this amazing voice and this really very funny personality. And then at one point, he plays the song Woodstock. And I started to have this out-of-body experience, because now I'm in the theater watching the guy who opened Woodstock play the song Woodstock, written by Joni Mitchell, who is the reason I know how to write songs. And this is my show. I am part of this show. And it was a complete high. And then after the show, I outsold Richie Havens in CDs by hundreds of dollars. I was still standing there signing albums for people an hour after Richie had packed up and left the venue. And as I'm signing, this guy comes up to me and he says, "I noticed the black gaff tape on your Martin." I said, "Yes, it's a problem." He said, "Well, I happen to be a guitar luthier in Lawrence, and if you can be at my shop at 8:30 tomorrow morning, I'll fix your guitar before you have to drive to your next show." And it was just like this coming together of all the stars in the universe. And I made it to the shop, he fixed my guitar, and I'm on my drive to St. Louis with, the guitar looks better than new because I've been banging away at this thing for 10 years at this point. And I get to St. Louis and I go into my show, and that night, 6 people come to the show, 4 of them by accident because they just wanted beers, and they talk all the way through my 2-hour set. So it is a complete roller coaster on this ride, but I will say, despite the low lows, I would never get to the top if I didn't get on in the first place. So thank you.